Lily Porter played with her electronic drawing pad as her parents talked with the important adults. She was 8 years old with curly brown hair and bright blue eyes. The room was big and cold with tall windows that showed the 3 moons of planet Zaxar 5. Her father, Greg Foster, worked for Earth as a space diplomat. Her mother, Kate Porter, was a doctor who helped sick people in the colony. "Stay where I can see you," her father had said before the meeting started. But the adults had been talking for hours now, and Lily was bored. The aliens called Zaxari were interesting to look at. They stood on 4 legs like bugs with upper bodies that could turn all the way around. Their skin was hard and blue-green, and they had 4 arms with 3 fingers on each hand. They clicked when they talked, and a machine turned their clicks into words humans could understand. Lily drew pictures of the Zaxari on her pad. She was proud of how she made their eyes look just right, big and round with lines across them like a spider web. She wanted to show a real Zaxari her drawing to see if they liked it. One of the smaller Zaxari stood near a door at the back of the room. Lily thought this one looked friendly. It had lighter-colored skin and wore a kind of vest with many pockets. While the adults argued about trade rules and space paths, Lily slipped from her chair and walked along the wall toward the Zaxari guard. "Hello," she said when she got close. "My name is Lily. I drew a picture of you. Do you want to see?" No. Zaxari turned its whole upper body to look down at her. Its eyes blinked with sideways lids. "Small creature speaks." It clicked, the translation coming through a device on its vest. "You are not in meeting records." "I'm with my dad," Lily pointed to Greg, who was showing charts to the Zaxari officials. "Do you like my drawing?" The Zaxari leaned down to look at her pad. Its face had no mouth that Lily could see, but its eyes widened. "You make mind pictures of Zaxari form? This is high skill." The guard's voice sounded surprised through the translator. "Others would want to see. The skill, really?" Lily smiled. She liked when people enjoyed her art. "Are there more of you who like drawings?" "Yes. Many who study humans would find you interesting. Would you show them?" "Just through this door. Very close." Lily looked back at her father. He was still busy, talking. She knew she should stay in the room, but the guard seemed nice and it would just be for a minute. "Okay, but I have to come right back. Dad will worry." The Zaxari opened the door, and Lily followed it into a hallway. The lights here were different, more blue than white. They walked past several doors until they reached an elevator. "Is it far?" Lily asked, starting to feel nervous. "Not far," the guard clicked. "Special room for special things." The elevator went down for a long time. When the doors opened, they were in a place that looked like the doctor's offices back on New Hope Colony. Everything was clean and shiny. 3 more Zaxari waited there wearing white coverings over their hard bodies. "See? I brought small human," her guide clicked to the others. "It makes mind pictures of Zaxari." The new Zaxari moved quickly around Lily, their eyes fixed on her. One touched her hair with a 3-fingered hand. "Hey!" Lily pulled away. "That's not nice. I just came to show my drawings." "Fascinating response," one Zaxari clicked. "The small human shows emotion like the large ones." Lily didn't like how they talked about her. She clutched her drawing pad to her chest. "I want to go back to my dad now." "The human child wishes to return," the first Zaxari reported. "Should I take it back?" The tallest Zaxari moved forward. "No, this is the first human offspring we have examined closely. We must study it while we have the chance. The diplomats never bring the small ones." Now Lily was scared. "I'm not supposed to be here. I need to go back right now." She turned to run, but 2 Zaxari blocked the elevator. Another reached for her drawing pad. "Give that back," she cried when they took it from her hands. "That's mine." "The small human has possessions it values," one noted. Recording response. Lily started to cry. "I want my dad. Please take me back." The water response from eyes, another Zaxari said with excitement. "Just like adult humans, but faster." One of them took out a silver tool that hummed. We should check its physical structure while we have permission. You don't have permission, Lily shouted, backing away. My dad doesn't know where I am, the Phi. Zaxari didn't seem to care what she said. One grabbed her arm, its hard fingers pinching her skin. Lily screamed and pulled away so hard she fell backward. Her head hit the edge of a metal table with a loud crack. Pain shot through her head. Lily touched the spot and saw blood on her fingers. Now she really screamed, louder than she ever had before. The human child is damaged, one Zaxari said, sounding confused. It leaks red fluid. I want my daddy, Lily sobbed, curling into a ball on the floor. Her head hurt badly. One of the Zaxari touched a control on the wall. Medical team needed. The human specimen is injured. Upstairs in the meeting room, Greg Foster felt something was wrong. He looked over to where Lily had been sitting, but her chair was empty. Lily? He called, interrupting the trade discussion. Has anyone seen my daughter? The human diplomats looked around, suddenly concerned. The Zaxari officials seemed confused by the interruption. The meeting agenda does not include a search period. The lead Zaxari diplomat clicked. Greg ignored them, moving quickly through the room. Lily, answer me. Jack Miller, head of security for the human delegation, pulled out his communication device. All security, we have a missing child. 8-year-old human girl, brown hair, blue eyes, pink shirt. Find her now. Security cameras in the hallway showed Lily following a Zaxari guard to the elevator. Greg watched the recording, his face turning pale with fear and then red with anger. They took her, he said, his voice shaking. These bugs took my daughter. Jack put a hand on Greg's shoulder. We'll get her back, sir. Right now. He turned to the lead Zaxari. Your people have removed a human child without permission. This is a serious diplomatic incident. Return her immediately. The Zaxari official's eyes blinked rapidly. We have no record of child removal. Perhaps it wandered away. At that moment, Greg's communication device beeped with an emergency signal. The voice of a doctor from their team came through. Commander Foster, medical emergency. Your daughter has been found in the Zaxari research level with a head injury. We're treating her now. Greg's world seemed to stop. Then rage, like he had never known, filled every part of him. If anything happens to my daughter, he said to the Zaxari official in a voice so quiet everyone had to strain to hear it, your entire species will regret it for as long as any of you live. He ran from the room, followed by Jack and the medical team. Behind them, the Zaxari clicked to each other in confusion, not understanding what they had just done or what was coming their way. The news about Lily Porter spread fast. Within hours, every human in the New Hope colony knew that the Zaxari had taken and hurt a child. Parents held their children closer. Soldiers checked their weapons. A feeling like a storm about to break filled the air. Greg Foster sat beside his daughter in the medical bay of the human section. Lily lay on a white bed with machines tracking her health. The doctors had fixed the cut on her head, but she was still asleep from the medicine they gave her for pain. Her small hand felt cold in his large one. Kate Porter, Lily's mother, rushed into the room. Her doctor's coat was half on, like she had been working when she heard the news. How is she? Kate asked, her voice shaking as she touched Lily's face. She'll be okay, Greg said. The cut wasn't deep. They say she'll wake up soon. Kate's face changed from worry to anger. What did they do to her? Why did they take her? They said they wanted to study her, like she was some kind of animal. Greg's hands made fists. They didn't even understand what they did wrong. Jack Miller, the security chief, entered the room. His face was serious. Commander Foster, we need to talk about what happens next. Greg nodded and stepped away from Lily's bed, giving Kate's shoulder a gentle squeeze. The Zaxari have sent a message, Jack said when they were outside the room. They say it was a misunderstanding. They thought they had permission to examine the child. That's a lie, Greg said. They know we would never allow that. Jack looked down at his tablet. They're offering an apology and payment for the injury. Greg laughed, but there was no happiness in it. They think they can pay us for hurting my daughter? Do they understand nothing about humans? Apparently not, Jack replied. I've sent a message to Earth Central Command. They need to know how. The Zaxari treat human children. Far away in space, Admiral Susan Wells was on the bridge of the UN Defender when the message arrived. The Defender was Earth's best warship, big enough to carry 5,000 people and armed with weapons that could destroy an entire city from space. Susan was a strong leader with short gray hair and eyes that missed nothing. "Play the message," she ordered her communication officer. The screen showed Jack Miller's face. He looked tired and angry. "Admiral Wells, we have a situation on Zaxar 5. The Zaxari took Commander Foster's daughter, Lily, to their research lab without permission. She was injured during the incident. The Zaxari claim it was a misunderstanding, but they showed no real regret. We are concerned this reveals a dangerous attitude toward human children. Request guidance." Susan sat very still. Lily Porter was her goddaughter. She had promised Greg and Kate to help protect Lily when she was born. "Send a message to Earth." "Command," she said after a moment. "Inform them that the UN Defender is changing course to Zaxar 5 due to a diplomatic emergency." Her second-in-command, Captain Ben Harris, looked worried. "Earth Command might not approve this action, Admiral. We're supposed to patrol the border with the Vrel Empire." Susan's eyes were hard. "They hurt a human child, Ben. A child I made promises about. What would you do if it was your son?" Ben had a boy back on Earth. His face changed as he thought about it. "I'd want someone to do something." "Exactly," Susan said. "Set course for Zaxar 5 maximum speed, and send messages to any Earth ships in that sector. I want to know who can join us." Across space, 4 other human ships received Susan's call. Each captain made the same choice without waiting for orders from Earth. The UN Horizon, UN Courage, UN Liberty, and UN Guardian all changed course. Together with the Defender, they formed the largest group of human warships seen outside Earth space in many years. On the Galactic Council Station, Dr. Alan Price tried to explain to aliens from 17 different worlds why humans were so upset. "You must understand," he said to the circle of strange faces. Some had tentacles, others had scales or fur. None seemed to fully grasp what he was saying. "To humans, children are sacred. We have biological programming to protect them at all costs. What the Zaxari did wasn't just rude. It triggered our deepest protective instincts." The Novan representative, a tall being with purple skin, waved a hand. But the child was only examined, not killed. The injury was small. Why do humans react with such force? Alan ran a hand through his hair in frustration. "Imagine someone took the eggs from your nesting grounds," he told the Novan, knowing their species guarded their eggs fiercely. "How would you respond?" The Novan's skin changed from purple to a dark red. "That would mean war." "Now you're starting to understand," Alan said. "The Zaxari need to make this right, quickly." On Zaxar 5, the Zaxari Queen Empress received troubling news. Her chief advisor, a Zaxari with age-spotted skin and 6 honor bands on his upper arms, showed her images of 5 human warships moving toward their world. "What is the meaning of this?" the Queen Empress asked. Her voice was deeper than other Zaxari, and when she spoke, all others listened. "The humans appear upset about the small one that was studied," the advisor clicked. "They have sent warships instead of more diplomats." The Queen Empress tilted her head. "Explain why. The small human was only slightly damaged. We offered payment." Another Zaxari stepped forward. This one had spent years studying humans. "My queen, humans react differently to threats against their young than we do. They become dangerous and unpredictable. Our military is 10 times larger than their force," the military commander clicked from his position. "If they attack, we will destroy them." The Queen Empress considered this. In all of recorded history, the Zaxari had never lost a war. Their world had weapons that could turn ships to dust. Why would humans risk everything for one small being? Noah Garcia received permission to speak directly to the Queen Empress. Noah was an old human with dark skin and white hair who had studied the Zaxari for 40 years. He knew their language and customs better than any human alive. His face appeared on the screen in the royal chamber. He spoke without a translator. his voice making the correct clicks and tones of the Zaxari language. Great Queen Empress, ruler of the mighty Zaxari, I speak with respect and urgency. You must return the human child, apologize sincerely, and punish those responsible. If you do not, what follows will be beyond your understanding. The Queen Empress was impressed by his use of their language, but not by his warning. The human, vessels approaching cannot harm us. Why do you threaten what you cannot deliver? Noah's old face looked sad. This is not a threat, but a prediction. What your people did violates humanity's most sacred rule. The ships coming are just the first response. If this is not made right, there will be more ships. Many more. We do not fear humans. The military commander clicked. That, Noah said softly, is your mistake. Lily woke up with her mother holding her hand. Her head hurt less now, but she felt afraid when she remembered what happened. The bug people took me, she said in a small voice. They wouldn't let me go home. Kate squeezed her daughter's hand. I know, sweetheart, but you're safe now. Daddy and I won't let anyone take you again. Greg came into the room carrying a small stuffed bear. It was old and worn. Lily had it since she was a baby. Look who I found, he said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Lily reached for the bear. Buddy, I was worried about him. She hugged the toy close. A doctor came in to check on Lily. After looking at some screens and shining a light in her eyes, the doctor smiled. You're doing great, Lily. You're very brave. When can we go home? Lily asked. She didn't like this place. It reminded her of where the Zaxari had taken her. The adults looked at each other in a way Lily didn't understand. Soon, Greg said. We just need to finish some work here first. But Lily could tell something was wrong. Her dad looked angry under his smile, and her mom kept checking her computer pad. Something important was happening. In space, Admiral Susan Wells and her 5 ships were now 2 days away from Zaxar 5. The ships traveled in a tight formation, ready for trouble. Admiral, called her communication officer. Message from Earth Command. Susan nodded. On screen, the face of Admiral John Baker appeared. He was the highest military leader back on Earth. His expression was serious. Susan, what are you doing? Your orders were to patrol the Vrel border. Sir, a human child was taken and injured by the Zaxari. I am responding to protect our people. Admiral Baker sighed. I understand your feelings, Susan, but you can't take 5 warships to threaten the Zaxari. They're 10 times stronger than your force. With respect, sir, this isn't about winning a war, it's about showing that humans protect their children no matter what. The diplomats are working on this, Baker said. They'll find a peaceful solution. Susan leaned forward. And while they talk, what happens to the next human child the Zaxari decide to study? Sir, they need to understand right now that hurting our children has consequences. Admiral Baker was quiet for a moment. I can't officially approve this mission, Susan. I understand, sir. But, he added, I'm not ordering you to turn back either. Unofficial reports suggest that some reserve units are activating themselves. Civilian ships are offering to transport troops. It seems many people share your feelings about this incident. Susan raised an eyebrow. How many people? Thousands, maybe more soon. Baker looked tired but determined. Do what you need to do, Susan. Just try not to start a war we can't win. The screen went dark. Captain Ben Harris looked at Susan. Orders, Admiral? Continue on course, she said. And prepare a message to the Zaxari. I want them to know exactly why we're coming. On Zaxar 5, the Zaxari were not idle. Warships moved into defensive positions around their planet. Weapons that could destroy mountains were aimed at space. The military commander, Vortek, watched with satisfaction as his forces prepared. The humans come, he clicked to his officers. They will learn why no one has ever defeated the Zaxari. One of his science advisors approached carefully. Commander, I have studied the data on human conflict patterns. They do not fight like other species. Vortek's eyes narrowed. Explain. Most species fight for territory or resources. Humans fight hardest for ideas and for their young. When they fight for these things, they do not stop until they win or are completely destroyed. All beings stop fighting when enough of them die. Vortek clicked dismissively. The scientist's voice lowered. Not humans. Not when their children are threatened. Vortek waved a hand to end the conversation. Prepare the fighters. I want 1,000 ships ready to meet the humans. Meanwhile, the Zaxari who had studied human culture the longest went to see the Queen Empress. His name was Zixlar, and he had spent 30 years learning about Earth. What he had discovered frightened him. My queen, he clicked, bowing low. I must speak about the humans. The Queen Empress allowed him to approach her throne. The military says they are no threat to us. They are wrong, Zixlar said, his voice trembling. I have reviewed human history. When their young are threatened, they become something else entirely. They have fought wars where they lost millions of their own kind and still did not surrender. He showed the Queen Empress images from human history. Parents running into burning buildings to save children. People lifting vehicles that had fallen on young ones. Ordinary humans becoming violent to protect unknown children in danger. This is their nature, Zixlar explained. It is not something they choose. It is something they are. For the first time, the Queen Empress felt uncertain. What do you suggest? Return the child publicly. Punish those who took her. Apologize in all human languages. Do it now, before their ships arrive. Before the Queen Empress could respond, a message came through on the main screen. Admiral Susan Wells's face appeared calm and determined. I speak to the leaders of Zaxar 5. I am Admiral Susan Wells of Earth, commanding the UEN Defender and a task force of human ships. We approach your world because you have harmed a human child. This action cannot be allowed to stand. The Queen Empress moved into view of the camera. Human Admiral, your force is small. Our defenses are great. Return to your patrol area. This incident is being handled by diplomats. Susan's face didn't change. You misunderstand our purpose. We do not come to negotiate. We come to show you that humans will travel across the stars to protect our children. You will return the child, punish those responsible, and guarantee this will never happen again. The child is already with its parents. The Queen Empress clicked. The incident is over. No, Susan said firmly. It is not over until you understand what you have done. If not for the child's parents finding her quickly, she could have died. Do you know what would happen then? The Queen Empress was silent. Every human ship in this part of space would come here, Susan continued. Not just military vessels. Trading ships, research ships, colony ships, all of them. Humans who have never fought before would take up weapons. We would not stop until justice was done. Vortek stepped into view. These are empty threats. You cannot defeat our forces. Susan looked at him calmly. We don't need to defeat your forces. We only need to make sure that every species in the galaxy knows that harming human children brings consequences no one can avoid. She leaned closer to the camera. We will arrive in 2 days. You have until then to decide how this ends. The screen went dark. The Queen Empress turned to Zixlar. Are they truly capable of what she describes? Yes, my queen. And worse. Much worse. For the first time in her long rule, the Queen Empress felt fear crawling through her body. Prepare a statement. We will return the child. My queen, Zixlar said gently. The child is already with her parents. Then we will apologize. We will punish those responsible. We will do whatever it takes to make the humans understand we have learned. Vortek clicked in protest. My queen, this shows weakness. We should silence, the Queen Empress commanded. You do not understand what we face. This is not about strength, this is about survival. The human ships were now 1 day away from Zaxar 5. On the UEN Defender, Admiral Susan Wells studied the reports from her scouts. The Zaxari had moved 1,000 ships into defensive positions around their planet. Their weapons were ready. It looked like they wanted to fight. They still don't understand, Susan said to Captain Ben Harris. They think this is about power. What do we do if they attack? Ben asked. Susan's face was hard. We show them what happens when you threaten a human child. She turned to her weapons officer. Are the new systems ready? The officer nodded. Yes, Admiral. The Defender's special weapons are online. The other ships are also ready. These weapons were a secret. No one outside Earth's military knew about them. They had been designed after the First Contact War, when humans learned they weren't alone in space. The weapons could cut through almost any shield. They had never been used in real battle. I hope we don't need them, Susan said. But if we do, at least this will be over quickly. On Zaxar 5, Greg Foster was called to a meeting with the Zaxari Queen Empress. He didn't want to go. He wanted to stay with Lily and Kate. But Jack Miller said it was important. They want to apologize, Jack explained. The Queen Empress herself. Greg's eyes were cold. I don't care about their apologies. I want the ones who hurt my daughter to be punished. This might help prevent it from happening to another child. Jack said gently. That was something Greg did care about. He agreed to go. The Zaxari Royal Hall was huge, with tall blue columns and strange art on the walls. The Queen Empress sat on a raised platform. She was bigger than other Zaxari, with skin that shimmered green-blue in the light. When Greg entered, many Zaxari bowed their upper bodies. Commander Foster, the Queen Empress clicked through a translator. I thank you for coming. Greg said nothing. He just waited. What happened to your offspring was wrong, the Queen Empress continued. Those responsible have been removed from their positions. They will be punished according to our laws. That's not enough, Greg said, his voice quiet but firm. The Queen Empress tilted her head. What would be enough? I want your people to understand why this can never happen again. Not to any human child. The Queen Empress was silent for a moment. Then she did something surprising. She stepped down from her platform and walked to stand in front of Greg. This was not normal for Zaxari rulers. The human ships approach our world, she said. Your Admiral Wells has made strong statements. Is she truly willing to fight our entire fleet for one child? Greg looked straight into her strange eyes. Yes, and she's not alone. Every human who, here's what happened to my daughter, feels the same. If those ships aren't enough, more will come. Why? The Queen Empress asked. In Zaxari culture, we protect the group, not individuals. We would not risk so much for one offspring. That's the difference between us, Greg said. Humans will cross galaxies, fight impossible battles, and die if needed to protect our children. It's not a choice. It's what we are. The Queen Empress seemed to be thinking deeply. I have studied your Admiral Wells. She is the child's godparent. Yes, this is a special protector? Greg nodded. Susan promised to help keep Lily safe when she was born. All humans take such promises seriously. And what would satisfy Admiral Wells? The Queen Empress asked. What would prevent battle between our peoples? Before Greg could answer, alarms began to sound throughout the palace. A Zaxari military officer rushed in. My queen, the human ships, have jumped forward. They will arrive in 1 hour, not 1 day. The Queen Empress's eyes widened. How is this possible? Their engines cannot move so fast. Greg felt a small smile form on his face. You don't know everything about human ships. The military officer clicked rapidly. Vortek has ordered our fleet to attack position. He says we must strike first. Now the Queen Empress looked worried. No, I have not ordered attack. Vortek says there is no time to wait, the officer replied. The humans could have more weapons we don't know about. Greg stepped forward. Let me contact Admiral Wells. Maybe we can stop this before it starts. The Queen Empress nodded quickly. Yes, use our communication system. Greg was taken to a room with large screens. He sent an urgent message to the UN Defender. In space, Susan received Greg's call. She was surprised to see him on a Zaxari communication system. Greg, are you and Lily okay? We're fine, Susan. But there's a problem. The Zaxari military commander is preparing to attack without orders. The Queen Empress wants to talk, not fight. Susan frowned. Our sensors show their weapons are powering up. The Queen Empress didn't order that, Greg insisted. She's trying to understand us. I think she wants peace. Susan thought for a moment. I'll give them one chance. Have the Queen Empress contact me directly. Minutes later, the Queen Empress appeared on the screen. Admiral Wells, I do not wish for conflict between our peoples. Then call off your military, Susan said firmly. Power down your weapons. I have tried, the Queen Empress replied. But Commander Vortek has sealed himself in the military control center. He is convinced you plan to destroy our world. Susan's face showed no emotion. I came for justice for a human child, not to destroy your world. But if your military fires on my ships, I will respond with full force. The Queen Empress's voice became urgent. Please understand, Vortek acts against my orders. Give me time to regain control. Susan checked her scanner. You have 30 minutes. After that, we will be in range of your weapons, and I must protect my people. I understand, the Queen Empress said. Then she added, Admiral, the child's father has helped me see what we did wrong. We will make it right. When the call ended, Ben looked at Susan. Do you believe her? I'm not sure, Susan replied, but I believe Greg. Prepare the ships for possible combat, but hold fire unless fired upon. On Zaxar 5, the Queen Empress gathered her royal guards. Take me to the military control center. We must stop Vortek. Greg watched as the Zaxari ruler left with her guards. Jack Miller came to stand beside him. Do you think they'll stop their military in time? Jack asked. I don't know, Greg said. But I know Susan. If they fire on her ships, what happens next will change this part of space forever. In the military control center, Vortek watched the approaching human ships with hatred in his eyes. They think they can threaten us? The mighty Zaxari? We will show them our true power. His officers prepared the weapons. 1,000 Zaxari ships moved into attack formation. Fire when they come in range, Vortek ordered. Destroy them all. One young officer clicked nervously. But the Queen Empress ordered us to wait. The Queen Empress does not understand the human threat, Vortek replied. I do this to protect our world. The door to the control center shook as something hit it from outside. The Queen Empress's voice came through the speakers. Commander Vortek, open this door. I order you to stand. Down. Vortek ignored her. Weapons at full power. Target the human ships. The human fleet was now visible on the main screen. 5 ships against 1,000. It should have been no contest. But something about the calm way the human ships approached made some of the Zaxari officers nervous. Fire! Vortek commanded. The young officer's hand hovered over the control. He had to choose between obeying his commander or his queen. The young Zaxari officer made his choice. His hand moved away from the firing control. I cannot follow that order, Commander. The Queen Empress commands us to wait. Vortek's eyes flashed with anger. You dare disobey me? He pushed the officer aside and reached for the controls himself. At that moment, the door to the control center burst open. The Queen Empress entered with her royal guards, their weapons drawn. Stop, Vortek. I command it. Vortek turned to face her, his upper body stiff with defiance. My queen, the humans threaten our world. We must strike first. The humans do not threaten our world. The Queen Empress clicked loudly. They seek justice for their injured child. I have spoken with them. They lie, Vortek insisted. No species would send warships for one small being. The Queen Empress moved closer to him. That is where you are wrong. That is why you are dangerous right now. You do not understand humans. On the screen, the 5 human ships continued their approach. They were now in range of the Zaxari weapons. Guards, the Queen Empress ordered, remove Commander Vortek from his position. The guards moved forward, but Vortek was fast. He leaped to a control panel and hit a red button before they could stop him. What have you done? The Queen Empress asked, her voice filled with dread. Vortek's eyes showed no regret. I launched fighters, 200 of them. They fly now to destroy the human ships. In space, Susan Wells watched as her scanner showed small Zaxari ships launching from the larger vessels. The fighters were fast and heavily armed. They moved quickly toward the human fleet. "They've launched fighters," Ben reported. 200 of them, moving to attack position. Susan's face was calm, but her eyes were hard. "Send a final warning. Tell them to recall their fighters immediately." The communication officer sent the message. Seconds passed. The fighters kept coming. "No response, Admiral," the officer reported. Susan nodded once. "Very well. Deploy our special defenses. Shields at maximum." Throughout the 5 human ships, new systems came online. These were not normal weapons or shields. They were the result of years of secret research. Designed after studying alien technology. "Defense fields active," the weapons officer reported. "Ready on your command." The Zaxari fighters were now very close, their weapons hot and ready to fire. "They're targeting our engines and weapon systems," Ben said, looking at his screen. Susan stood from her chair. "Let them come." On Zaxar 5, Greg Foster watched the scene on the control room's main screen. The Queen Empress stood beside him, her eyes fixed on the approaching disaster. "Stop them," Greg urged. "Call them back." "I'm trying." The Queen Empress clicked desperately into a communication device. "Fighter squadron, return to base. This is your Queen Empress. Abort attack." Some of the fighters seemed to slow, confused by the conflicting orders, but most continued forward, following Vortex's command. The first fighters reached the human ships and fired their weapons. Bright energy beams flashed across space toward the UN Defender and its companions. Then something strange happened. As the beams hit the human ships, they didn't explode against shields as normal. Instead, they seemed to vanish into nothing. The human ships remained untouched. "What is this?" Vortex clicked in confusion. "Our weapons have no effect." The fighters fired again and again. Each time, their weapons disappeared into what looked like small black holes around the human ships. On the Defender, Susan nodded with satisfaction. "The absorption fields are working perfectly, not a single hit getting through." "What are your orders, Admiral?" Ben asked. "Should we return fire?" Susan considered for a moment. "No. Let them see that their weapons cannot harm us. Let them run out of ammunition firing at ghosts." The Zaxari fighters continued their attack, growing more desperate as they saw their weapons had no effect. Some turned back, confused and afraid. Others pressed their attack, moving closer to try different angles. In the control room on Zaxar 5, silence fell as everyone watched the impossible scene. The mighty Zaxari weapons, which had destroyed entire fleets in past wars, did nothing against the human ships. "What are they?" the Queen Empress asked quietly. Greg shook his head. "I don't know. I've never seen technology like that before." Vortex stared at the screen in disbelief. "This cannot be. No defense can stop our weapons completely." The Queen Empress turned to him, her voice cold. "You were wrong about the humans. You acted against my orders. Remove your rank bands. You are no longer commander of our forces." Guards took Vortex away. He did not resist. He seemed broken by what he had seen. The Queen Empress turned back to Greg. "Your ships do not return fire. Why?" "Susan doesn't want war," Greg explained. "She wants understanding." The Queen Empress clicked thoughtfully. "I think I begin to understand. Now." She moved to the communication system and called the UN Defender again. Admiral Wells appeared on the screen. "Admiral," the Queen Empress said, "I have removed Commander Vortex from his position. He acted against my orders. I ask you to forgive this attack and not to harm our fighters. Many of the pilots were following orders they believed came from me." Susan's face remained serious. "I will not fire on your fighters if they withdraw. Now." "I have ordered them to return," the Queen Empress assured her. "Now, can we talk about what comes next? What justice do you seek for the human child?" "I want 3 things," Susan said firmly. "First, those who hurt Lily must be punished in a way both our peoples consider fair. Second, you will create new laws protecting all children of all species from harm. Third, you will share these laws with every world you contact." The Queen Empress considered these demands. The first and second are acceptable. The third? Many species will think we have become weak. Not weak, Susan replied. Wise. The strongest civilizations protect their most vulnerable members. After a moment, the Queen Empress nodded. I agree to your terms. She turned to Greg. Will this satisfy you as the child's father? Greg thought of Lily, safe with her mother but still afraid after what happened. One more thing. I want your scientists to meet with human doctors. They need to learn about human children, how delicate they are, how they think and feel, so nothing like this ever happens again. It shall be done, the Queen Empress promised. On Rewind, the Defender. Susan felt the tension leave her body. They had come so close to war. A war they might have won with their new technology, but at what cost? Stand down from combat alert, she ordered. Inform the fleet that the situation is under control. Ben smiled with relief. I never thought the Zexari would back down. They've never lost a conflict before. They didn't lose this one, Susan said, looking at the screen where the Zexari Queen Empress and Greg still stood together. They just learned something new about humans. Something important. What's that? Ben asked. Susan's eyes were firm but no longer hard. That we will cross the stars, face any danger, and risk everything we have to protect our children. And that is not our weakness. It's our greatest strength.